And hello everyone, and welcome along to another night in TGP1. This is season 37, week 8, it's rounds 15 and 16, and we are here at the Jeddah Corniche circuit in Saudi Arabia for round 15, and then we'll be going into Italy for some pizza and also some ciabattas, which reminds me who's in the commentary box tonight. It's Luca Chiapelli as we go to Italy. But Luca, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, yeah. I'm looking forward to going back to my home country, having some homemade ciabattas, bit of pizza. It'll be a good one. But yeah, glad to be here in Saudi Arabia as well. Enjoying the sunshine and enjoying some really good racing tonight. I think it's going to be a good one.
It is indeed. We've got, what, about 5 minutes left of this qualifying session. A lot of drivers are currently in the box getting ready to go for their final runs. As we stand 4 minutes to go, sorry. But as we get ready to go with these drivers going for their final runs, we've got Softy currently leading with a 26.9. Dan the Man in second place on the 27.4. Jack Hickey will be third on the grid as it stands. Jovial Mancy in fourth, and Court, who we're looking at the moment, who's on a flying lap as well, is currently running in fifth. So you've been seeing the start of this session so far, Luca. How's it been going for you?
Yeah, it's been good. We've seen a couple of drivers hitting those track limits and invalidating their lap times, but we've also seen some really good laps being produced. Court had an absolute flyer before, a great lap before, but as you can see there, Softy is the runaway leader at the moment with that pace, and it'll be quite the lap if you can beat that.
Yeah, so Court actually looks like he's on a slower lap, and Dan the Man is on an out lap. I think we've got no one really on flying laps at the moment, have we, Luca? Unless you've spotted something that I haven't. Alistair's just started.
I think Alistair's on one, yeah. Maybe Theo Hickman's just started one as well.
Yeah.
But it looks like they're winding up on their out laps, ready to do their final runs here.
Yeah, as we see Softy, Dan the Man and Jack Hickey all on their out laps with 2.5 minutes nearly to go in this session. Alistair Bain, he's currently on fly, he's just dropped to 7th place as VFL Glock, someone we didn't realise was on a flying lap, has just got up second. He's got about 4 tenths behind Softy, and Alistair's got about a tenth quicker than his previous in the first sector. So Luca, you've driven this circuit a few more times than probably I have. What are the key challenges on this circuit?
Key challenges really is to try and keep it within the track limits, especially going through the twisty, windy section of the first sector. But also just trying to maximise as much as you can. Try and get as close to the walls as you can, and really concentrate coming out of the final corner to get that last run down to the line.
Yeah, and Dan the Man looks like the first one of the lead group to be on a flying lap. We'll see the end of this lap with Alistair. He's not using his DRS, I think he's backed out of it. So let's switch over to Dan the Man. He's got a 1.5 seconds quicker in the first... Oh no, he hasn't finished the first sector. There's a timing glitch there. But we'll see his first sector time shortly, Luca.
Yeah, so it looks like he's hitting exactly the right apexes coming through here. Let's see what he does.
Oh God, that's a poor first sector.
Yeah. It
Very
looked
cool.
quick, but it must have been the camera trickery that made it look so quick.
Yeah, he's made a mess of that first sector. He might just have time to go again for a second lap. Is tyre warm-up an issue on this circuit?
No, not really. It's just a case of making sure you keep as much life as you can in these tyres to maximise the performance. I've seen some early runs on the mediums just to test the waters, or even to put a banker lap in, so I reckon they're trying to save the tyres for the race.
Yep, so currently watching championship leader Softy as VFR Glock is done for the session. Championship leader 54 points clear of Jack Hickman in the TGP1 standings with only a couple of weeks to go. So it's looking good for Softy at the moment. He's going through Sector 2 now, and he's currently what? He's on Sector 3. Just shows how little I know this circuit. But we're heading towards the end of the lap now. Just one more corner, I do know that, as Softy hits the brakes. Is it going to be a good lap from Softy? He gets a good exit out of the final corner. He's going to have the DRS wide open very shortly. There it is, DRS wide open. He's getting close to the wall. Shortest run to the line. And what's his lap going to be? He's improved by 3 tenths, and he's gone even further up the top. Jack Hickman is further down. He's just coming towards the end of the lap, Luca.
This is going to be an even taller order for the drivers to try and beat this one. He's just under a second clear of Dan the Man here. So let's see what the drivers can produce.
Yeah, Dan the Man, he's gone for another lap like we said he would. He's currently 2.5 tenths up, nearly 3 tenths up in that first sector as he goes through turns turns numbers, but I think that's 17 and 18. Looking at my track map quickly as the session comes to a close. Is Softy's time going to get beaten by Dan the Man? It don't look like it at the moment. He's still 3 tenths quicker, but it's not going to be enough to nick that pole position, is it?
No, it isn't, but it'll be enough to nick second place. And second place isn't a bad place to start on the grid here. There's a relatively longer run down to the first corner where you can really attack and see if you can try and gain a position here. So he'd be good for a running.
Yes, he will be indeed. Cam's just popped himself up into third place on this run, but is Dan the Man going to go any quicker? He comes across the line now and he puts himself in second place. Let's see if anyone else is on a fly lap. Jovial Manatee, he's coming to the line. He's currently a 10.5 up on his previous. Is that going to put him in front of Jack Hickman? Yes, it does. We've got caught in the final corner as well, Luca.
We have. I believe Jack Hickman is on a flyer here. So let's see what he can produce as well. Oh, he invalidated. That's a shame.
Yeah, a court goes in front of him as well, so that's poor. Alistair's done. Anyone else on the flyer? Ollie Hart is still on. No, he's invalidated. Aiden, is he still on a flyer? No, so that is it for your session. So Softy once again on pole position in TGP1. That makes it his 9th pole position of the season and his 71st in TGP1. So Softy once again showing why he's the championship leader in this qualifying session, Luca.
Yeah, for sure. Going back to Jack Hickman, he did have some issues with his pedals to start off in the session, so it seems to be an amalgamation of what could be a bad weekend for him here. Let's see if he can bounce back for the race and try and recover some of those positions, because he does have the pace there, but it seems to be reliability is getting the better of him.
Yeah, and just a quick eye on the championship standings, kind of rushed into the stream tonight. That was thanks to me having to sit in football traffic as Southampton play Liverpool tonight, coming home from work. But the championship standings is Softy is leading by 53 points over Jack Hickman, who's on 189, Softy on 242, and it's realistically between them two now as Matt Tibos is in third on 135. So Luca, do you want to give us a quick rundown of the final standings?
Quick rundown here. So Softy is on pole position with Dan the Man 5 tenths behind, and then followed by VFR Glock another 10th behind. New Zealand Cam takes 4th with Jack Hickey in 5th. Jovial Manatee, a great qualifying for him in 6th with Court just behind in 7th place. 8th is Alistair, 9th is Causa, 10th CJH, 11th Jonas, Theo Hickman, Ollie Hart and Matt Tibos round out the top 14.
Yeah, so that is your starting, well, the top end of the starting grid for this race here in Saudi Arabia. Round 15 round the Jeddah Corniche circuit. It'll be a 13-lap race round this circuit, 6.1 kilometres. The lap record in real life is a 1:30.7, but Softy has blitzed that in this qualifying session, hasn't he?
He has. He seems to be on the ball tonight, and if he can get a good start here, then the drivers are going to really struggle to keep up with him, and we could see another Softy dominant performance.
Yeah, we could do indeed, especially as Jack Hickman's starting all the way down in 7th, and he's 53 points behind, so a huge opportunity for Softy to extend his championship lead by what, 10-15 points in this race.
Quite easily. It's going to be something to see if any of the drivers can keep up with him in the championship fight.
Yes, it will be indeed, as the preparations are done, ready to go for round 15 of the TGP1 season 37 season. 4 lights are on, 5 lights are on, and it is lights out and away we go. And it's a very strong start from the front by Softy. A beautiful start from Softy, actually. Pulled a nice gap. Dan the Man, a poor start. It's getting challenged by VFR Glock. He's going to pinch him against the curb through turn number 2. And they're going to be side by side on the exit. And I think Glock might just have him going into the SS section. Cam is looking for a move as well. And Glock has done it. Glock is up into P2. Dan the Man back down to P3. And Cam is sitting in P4. Jack Hickman, good start. He's in P5. There's a little bit of action further back as someone has dropped down to the tail end of the field. That's Alistair Bain, as we see. Oh, and Causa may have had an issue there as well. And Paul McGee's had an issue. He's out of the session. And no safety car yet. Virtual safety car for the time being. I think that is going to stay a VSC. But what happened further down the field there, Luca?
It looked like Causa and Court were going into a corner, and unfortunately 2 doesn't go into 1, and they just squeezed each other, and Causa came out worse on that. Looked like Paul McGee got caught up in the chaos that was happening between those 2, and it's so unfortunate that these first lap incidents can take place.
Yeah, it is indeed. Softy already got a 2.5 second lead under this virtual safety car as well. So Softy got a beautiful start from the front, no wheel spin, absolutely nailed it. Dan, the other side of the front row, made a complete hash of it and has ended up losing the place as we go back green again, on board with Cam. And Dan the man actually looks very close to the back of Glock, going into the final corner. Is he going to make a move, or is he going to try and wait for turn one? He's going to wait for turn one. I think that may be the best option for him, considering he'd probably get done on this straight, but he needed a good exit, and that's not quite the exit he needed there, was it, that, Luca?
No, it wasn't. I was actually watching the back here because we've got some jostling for positions back down from 15th. It looks to be tight. Oh, there's slight contact there from Aston and Corda, but it looks like they're both being driven into the pits here. Yeah, and Corda's taking that stop, I think, to replace his front wing.
Yeah, so that's it. But Cam is only 4/10 of a second behind Dan the man as they go through this beautiful section. It's actually quite a nice section of the lap, but it gets very tricky at the end of it. You're slowing down and slowing down, and this corner nips up on the exit, which, for my opinion, no reason to do so, but it does, and it makes it difficult for the drivers and very easy to pick up warnings and call a cup penalty. But that Cam is going to try and get himself onto the podium. I'm trying to look for battles further down the field. We've got Matt Tibos and CJH. They're very close to each other as well. Let's see what's going on down there. And Theo in the other Aston Martin's not doing a bad job either, as we see the 3-car train forming behind Matt Tibos.
Yeah, we've got Jack Pearson all over the back of Aiden down at 14th here to try and pick up those extra positions, but it looks like the field hasn't spread too much, which is what we like to see for close racing.
Yeah, it is indeed. Meanwhile, we're looking at Cam once again, and this train is definitely forming behind Glock actually, because we've got Dan the man, we've got Cam, and Jack Hickman's just about sticking onto the back of this train as well. And Softy is pulling a nice advantage. He's currently up to what, 1.3, 1.4 seconds clear, and he keeps banging in a fastest lap. There's another fastest lap in this race. Cam maybe looking for a move into turn one and doesn't quite get close enough there, Luca.
Yeah, we're seeing another dominant performance unfolding here with Softy, but I think as soon as DRS is activated, we may see that DRS train, but then again, we may see it break up and we may see some extra moves going into turn one, going into the final corner. Lots of places to overtake here, so it's good for action.
It is indeed, as we see Cam still chasing the back of Dan the man down. We've got Jack Hickman just watching at the back of this train. But Softy's aim is to try and break the DRS, and he's doing that successfully. He's up to 1.8 seconds clear. Meanwhile, this train is forming for second place. Meanwhile, further down the field, Wet Lemons is having a bit of an issue. He's dropped down to 15th in that run. And Court is, speaking of trains actually, there's a Roy train forming. Jovial Manatee has got a little bit of a train behind him as well. He's got the Mercedes of Sean and Court. But we're going to go back to further in the field because Dan the man is only 2 tenths, 1 tenth. He's right behind Glock now as he gets towards the end of the lap, and there's 3 DRS zones on this circuit for him to take opportunity of.
Yeah, so it looks like he's going to get the move done nice and early here. Hopefully he can defend it going into turn one. But yeah, this is just going to be opening the door for Cam to be attacking onto Glock now. So it looks like the DRS train isn't going to be the DRS train for second place this time round, unless Dan is now going to be the leader of this. Yeah,
well, Dan's at the front, and he's probably not the wisest moves. Dan the man's actually set the fastest lap of the race. Glock's going to look to the inside, and there's a safety car, because Corsa coming out of turn number, I want to say 12. Yes, it is. What a guess that was. Coming out of turn number 12, has binned it on the exit. Very easy mistake to do. And I'm guessing he was trying to make up time, and he's ended up bringing out the safety car. And that means that anyone on the soft tyres is probably pitting under this, aren't they, Luca?
Yeah, I think if anybody doesn't choose to pit at this stage in the race, they're going to be really putting themselves at a disadvantage when it comes to strategy. Unfortunately, Softy was past the pit lane at this point, but the safety car hopefully won't pick him up too early for him to not be able to take advantage of the free stop here. Yeah,
that is the aim indeed. So safety car is out here at the Jeddah Corniche circuit. We're currently on lap number 4 of this race. We've had a VSC and a safety car already. Lots of drivers, especially the ones sitting on the soft tyres, will be pitting under this safety car surely, as we see further down the field. And surprisingly, no one's picked up any penalties yet, which is quite nice to see.
Yeah, it's good to see, especially considering the scraps that we were seeing at on the first lap. It's good to see that we're not going to be winning due to penalties. It's all going to be done on the road so far. Let's hope that the drivers don't pick up that 5-second penalty going into the pit lane, trying to gain that extra time.
Yeah, well, looking at the field, actually, a lot of people dived in because where they were on the circuit, dived in before the dived in under this safety car, but before everyone else is catching the safety cars. Everyone else peels into the pit now, but yeah, everyone is pitting under this safety car as we see Glock into the box.
Yep, so it looks like Ollie Hart is the runners who pitted whilst they could under the safety car. Hopefully the Delta has worked and the top 8 runners don't get overtaken here, but I tell you what, Ollie Hart is coming onto the back straight now, so I hope those pit stops have been completed.
Yeah, they have indeed. Softy is already at the pit lane exit, so he's going to retain his lead. I think most of the pack are probably still going to come out in front of where they were. Indeed, yeah. I think the only one
is tight on the pit exit. Oh no.
No, it's not tight at all. No, it's not tight at all, Luca. Well clear.
The camera angle was wrong there.
Yeah. Yeah, so Softy just pounding around behind the safety car as we see drivers further back like Alistair lost out big style at the beginning of that and has dropped down to the field. He's made the pit stop. And is he going to try maybe an alternative strategy? I think I would if I was Alistair. I'm last anyway. What's there to lose?
It'd be an interesting one. Obviously, a lot of these drivers, I think all of these drivers started on the soft tyres, so you'd have to hope for another safety car to be able to make it work. Whether that's likely going to happen in this stage of the race is another question. But one person who's lost out quite badly here is Matt Tibos from this. It looks like he had to take a pit stop later on in the safety car coming out. Maybe he had some damage. Maybe he didn't hit straight away. I'm not sure.
Not sure indeed. But yeah, we're under the safety car. We're probably going to get another lap under this safety car as well here at the Jeddah Corniche circuit in Saudi Arabia. Round 15 of TGP1 season 37. So we've got the Aston Martin safety car here for this one. Unlike real life in F1 2022, we had the Mercedes, and then in 2021, the inaugural Grand Prix in Saudi Arabia, there was that bright green, it was the Saudi national colour green Aston Martin for the first race, weren't it, Luca?
It was, yeah. It was a nice little touch in order to have the safety car in that colour. My personal preference, I prefer the Mercedes in the red. But the Aston Martin, it does just have that nice little breaking up and giving it a bit more of a different feel when it comes to these different races with the Aston Martin. Something interesting to pick up here is that the top 7 drivers in the race have not changed position since the start of the race. So whilst Dan the Man, I believe, lost out at the start, he's now back in the position that he was when he started. And it's only 8 downwards where they've changed position, where they've all changed position, with Jack Pearson and ERT Jordan taking the most places since their starting position, and Alistair Bain losing out at 9 positions lost from the start.
Yeah, it is indeed. So yeah, hopefully these drivers behind the Aston Martin Vantage are not complaining as much as the F1 drivers in real life about how slow this Aston Martin is compared to the Mercedes, because the Mercedes has got downforce, blah-de-blah-de-blah. I think it's just a load of moaning. It's a safety car, it's meant to slow you down. But anyway, we're on lap 6. We're about half distance in this race, or coming up to. I think it'll be just over half distance when this safety car comes in, because surely it'll come in this lap, won't it, Luca?
I don't see why they would extend it for another lap. I mean, all of the pack has bunched up now. They all seem to have done their stops now. No reason to keep it out. It seems to be the track is nice and clear from any debris that was on there as well. So let's get back racing. Yes,
that's what we like to hear. Let's get back racing indeed, as they go around turn number 12 here at the Jeddah Corniche circuit. And as you can tell, I'm running out of things to say under the safety car. But that's what the safety car period is like. You're just kind of sitting there waiting for the field to trundle around while they clear up the incident, and then we wait to go back racing, which hopefully we'll get this lap.
Yeah, one thing that we should be looking out for is what Softy's going to do to try and get the jump on Dan the Man, and if Dan the Man can hopefully stick with him so that he doesn't run off like he did at the first stage. But drivers will have to be careful, as there's going to be a lot of backing up in the back end of Sector 3 going onto the home straight, as they'll want to try and minimise any kind of tow from the safety car restart.
Yeah, it is. So we're coming up to the end of the Sector 2, Sector 3 line. And come on. We get... Oh, there it is. Safety car in this lap. Thank God. Jeez. That's good to see. So we're going to ride on board with Dan the Man on this restart. As we can see when Softy bolts. Is he going to bolt coming out before the last corner, or is he going to bolt? He's just going to try and hold the pack up a bit. I think he knows he has the pace on the drivers behind, so maybe he'd wait a little bit or just bolt at the exit last corner. We will see. So coming into this last corner, Softy taking a wide line. I think he's going to bolt on the exit, surely. No, he hasn't bolted. Now he's bolted. There he goes. Softy is bolted. Dan the Man is going to be following inside. And VFR Glock is actually all over the back of Dan the Man as we go green here in Jeddah. And Dan the Man under some bit of pressure there from Glock, but it's the top three line astern as they were. And no real moves further down the field. I think the only move is actually Matt Tibos has lost out slightly there. But on board with Glock as we head towards the S's section for the first time under this restart, Luca.
Yeah, Aiden has managed to gain a position early on in this lap. But yeah, Tibos losing out, maybe just caught napping a bit with Alistair right behind. But it all seems to be a smooth start from this safety car restart. It
does indeed. And there's our first time penalty of the race. It's Court who's picked up a 3-second time penalty. I'm not surprised. He's probably done it on the exit where it nips up coming out of turn 11 as we go through the winding back section, the quick winding back section. Only one real proper corner on this section, and that is turn number 16, which they're just going through now and are out onto the back straight where the first of the DRS zones is.
Yeah, there's a great little scrap down here in P10 between Aiden, Ollie Hart and CJH. Teammates fighting here and also trying to get past Aiden, but it all seems to be hotting up from P9 downwards.
Well, you say it's hotting up from P9 downwards. Court is all over the back of Roy. Jovial Manti, he's looking to the outside of turn 22. Is he going to play it safe? No, he's going to try and go round the outside of Jovial Manti, and he actually made sure he gets the cutback. No DRS yet, of course. Jack Pearson's picked up a time penalty. What a surprise there as we get underway with lap number 8. Court maybe looking to the inside. He's going to try and sell him the dummy. Maybe sell him the double dummy. He's going to go to the outside, going through this section of corners, and Jean is going to try and mug Court in the process. Round the outside he goes, and Jean is overtaken. And is he going to make a move? No, he's going to have to settle in behind Jovial Manti through this section and runs a little bit wide through that corner there, Luca.
Great little move there. I'm still stuck to this P10 fight that seems to just be changing positions left, right and centre. And it looks like Theo Hickman is back into the mix here, or he's just been overtaken by Aiden. I can't quite tell.
Well, they're on the back of this battle for P6. If you look further up the road and someone's had a spin, it's Jack Hickman. Jack Hickman has made a mistake. That's a disaster for him. He's had a collision with someone. I'm trying to see who it is.
New Zealand Cam.
Yes, it is. Cam and Jack Hickman have both had an accident with each other. I'm guessing maybe one of them lost it on the exit 13 and went into the other one there. So now this is a battle for P4, and Sean must be licking his lips at that. But it's disaster for Jack Hickman. He's down in P8. He's picked up a 3-second time penalty, and it's a huge amount of points Softy is gaining on him now.
It is, but I've just caught the fight here between Glock and Dan the Man. Dan the Man under a lot of pressure here.
Yeah, so we go further up the field. Glock going to have the DRS enabled this time, but he's going to have to wait a little bit. But this battle behind is something to behold. This battle for fourth is basically a 4-car battle now. As Sean looks to the inside of Jovial Manti, can he get the move done? There's a lot of wheel banging and weaving looking like behind, but I think it might be all fair play. Jack Pearson's picked up another time penalty. What a surprise there. As we see, Sean has overtaken Jovial Manti, and Aiden has moved up a position on court further back. CJH and Theo are also scrapping. They're side by side through this section. This is going to be well, lads, isn't it? And it has actually.
Yeah, I think they've got some track warnings there, as there's a lot of running wide, trying to keep their foot in to not lose the position, but hopefully they don't pick up. Oh my goodness, that was a dive bomb and a half. That hasn't worked out quite the way it should have done.
No, it hasn't indeed. That might be one for the stewards, that one, because that did look a bit dodgy as we were riding on board with Theo there. So that did look dodgy. But look at this train forming behind P8. We've got a train forming behind P4. We've got a train forming behind P8. I don't know which one to look at, Luca.
It's all happening, and this is what we love to see from safety car restarts, that people can stay in the mix and stay close with those battles. And yeah, I'm struggling which ones to keep on as well.
Yeah, well, Jovial Manatee is going back round the outside of Sean, and Aiden's got him as well, and Court is still hanging around as well. This is a 4-car battle. Jovial Manatee back into the lead of it, but Aiden's going to have the DRS. It's going to be wide open on the Red Bull. Sean's going to be looking for a move. Court's going to be looking for a move. How mugged off is Jovial Manatee going to be? He's going to hang it round the outside. Jovial Manatee is going to... Wow, they're 2i2 Noah's Ark on the exit there, Luca.
Yeah, I've just been catching on the Theo Hickman battle here. I thought it was going to be 3 wide at one point. They have managed to keep this nice and clean. Let's hopefully keep it clean for another few laps and see where we can end up here. But this is some great racing we're seeing here.
Well, Matt Tibos and Theo Hickman's off into the wall there.
Theo Hickman's off and he's crashed. I don't quite know what happened there. I'm not sure if he lost the back end, but this could this be a virtual safety car, or is it too late in the race?
I think we've got over our quota on this game of safety cars and virtuals, so that is that. So I think there'll be no more safety cars or VSCs in this race, as the battle has turned into a battle for P9, as Matt Tibos, I think, has snuck up and just cruised past everyone. Meanwhile, Glock is all over the back of Dan the Man now.
Yeah, this has been a great battle up at the front, trying to keep on the podium and get all of those points for second place. Softy seems to be cruising here and be the only one who's having a nice time and not an intense one.
Yeah, well, we have Court going round the outside of Sean, going into the final corner. We've got Jovial Manatee and Aiden side by side as well. But Sean, is he going to get the move held off there? Court is going to be side by side on the exit, and he's dropped to the back of this train now. We're going to ride on board Court, the Alpine driver, Luca.
Yeah, so we're actually seeing some DRS games there from Aiden, letting Jovial Manatee through to get the DRS to make that move into turn 1. So I didn't expect to see that in this race, but drivers are starting to think a bit more about those final positions.
It's all very Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen from Jeddah this year. Aiden has got himself up into 4th place. Jovial Manatee back down to 5th, but I think the overtaking in this little scrap isn't finished yet. Meanwhile, further down, I don't think it's finished in that little battle either, because Jack Pearson's got 9 seconds worth of penalties, and Jack Hickman is, well, he's 14th now, and I think that's what, a 24-point swing for Softy as it stands. That's basically game over, I think.
It's so unfortunate. It's just been an amalgamation of problems building up over the weekend, and it's just got worse and worse and worse, unfortunately.
Yeah, it has indeed. But we're going to go back to this battle for P5 now, as we see Court on the back of this train. We've got Sean following Jovial Manatee through the twisty section towards the end of the lap, coming towards the second DRS zone on this circuit now. DRS protection was there, and there's the DRS opening. Sean and Court. And Court's definitely got a better run through that corner. He's going to look to the inside of Sean into the final corner there, Luca.
He is. Is there some DRS games being played there by Jean? I don't quite know, or if it was outright pace, but Jean's going to have the DRS again. They are both going to have the DRS again, so let's just see the drag race going into turn 1.
Yeah, it is. And meanwhile, further up, we've got Jovial Manatee side by side with Aiden. Is he going to get the move done? Aiden goes very deep. He's actually on the soft tyres. I didn't even realise that with Aiden. He's on the soft tyres. Jack Pearson's picked up another penalty, and it just gets from bad to worse. He's currently running last with 12 seconds worth of penalties. But this battle is raging on here, Luca.
It is. This has been a fantastic race so far, and I don't think it's quite over yet. I think we could see some more late moves, trying to get those final positions going into the final lap and trying to secure them. DRS games here, there and everywhere. This is fantastic racing.
It is. It's been non-stop action since the safety car restart. This battle for P4 has been brewing and brewing, and I think Matt Tibos is closing onto the back of it as well to make that a 5-car battle for P4 now.
Yeah, for sure. Matt Tibos, I think his early dropping in the safety car period was to switch to those mediums and then back to those softs so that he was in a better position, and it seems to be paying off here.
Yeah, meanwhile, Dan the Man and Glock. I think Dan the Man's just doing enough to hold off Glock at this time, as we see them coming towards the DRS once again. There's only one more lap to go in this race, as Softy is about to cross the line to start that final lap, but there's so much action behind. We've hardly spoken about him since the restart.
Yeah, and just looking further back, and we've got more and more scrapping going into the final corner between Jovial Manatee, Aiden and Court. with John on the back of that and Matt Tibos coming into play. So it looks like VFR Glock's actually made the move on Dan the Man. So he's now in second place.
Yeah, oh, so that's a done deal. That must have been into turn 1. I was too busy looking at this battle for P4 as Courts lost it on the exit in turn 2. So that's gifted John and Matt Tibos positions. Might have front wing damage, but I think he'd have enough to hang on to maybe P8, maybe drop down to P9. But this battle has been so hard to take our eyes off. We forgot there was a battle up the field for second place.
Yeah, so looking at that battle for second place, they both have the same amount of ERS available to them. So let's see if Dan the Man can get on the back of him and try and get that final position going into the final corner. That's the only place it's going to be. Oh, and there's a 3-second time penalty for Dan.
Well, that's that one then. That's that done. Glock is going to be second and Dan the Man's going to be third, as much as Dan would like to try and get it on the road. So we're going to focus on this battle for P4. And he's still raging. Matt Tibos already gained one position on court on this final lap. He's going to pass his teammate. That makes it 2. Can he get someone else on this final lap?
Those soft tyres coming into play, and he looks like he's in the perfect position to make a move onto Jovial Manatee. And Jovial Manatee is in the slipstream of Aiden Griffin, so this is going to be a tight finish here.
Meanwhile, Softy has crossed the line to win the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. Glock's going to hold on. And meanwhile, it's just crazy. Battle for P4. And it's a spin for Aiden, and one of the Mercs has gone into the back of him. They're going to be 3 wide coming across the line. It's going to be chaos behind. Jovial Mansee's got the position. Caught. Oh, I don't. What? Just wow. Just wow.
And we've got even further down the grid, we've got Jordan and Alistair fighting for those final positions. And that looks to be our final position set now.
Yes, it has. There's so much going on at the end of that race. You didn't know where to look. You needed about 5 different camera angles from 5 different people just to see what was actually going on in that race. Wet Levin's just coming around the final corner now. He gets himself the final point, and Jack Pearson, well, he's got 12 seconds worth of penalties. He's in a Williams. He's going very slowly. And, well, what else is there to say?
I don't know where he's lost his front wing here, but yeah, that's a shame for Jack Pearson.
Yeah, it is indeed. So that was that for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and I need a cigarette after that one, Luca.
Yeah, where could you look, and where could we even commentate on? I think we missed a lot of that action, unfortunately, trying to follow it all, but let's talk about Softy here. Another dominant performance. Can anybody fight him for this title now?
I think not. He's gained, what, 22 points on Jack Hickman. That puts his lead up to 75 points with 5 races to go. So he could secure the title next week, Luca.
Yeah, dominant performance, as I said. He didn't even break a sweat by the looks of things in Saudi Arabia, whilst all the other drivers were scrapping for positions left, right and centre. So another dominant performance, and it's great to see names like Jovial Manatee up into the top 5 as well. They really deserve it after that good driving they've been doing.
Yeah, so here are the final results from the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Softy in the Haas wins once again in TGP1 this season. Glock is going to go home second, and Dan the Man rounded out the podium. Jovial Manatee won that massive scrap for P4 in the end. Matt Tibos comes home P5, and Sean in P6. Then we've got Aiden in 7th, Court in 8th, ERT Jordan in 9th, and Alistair rounding out the top 10. Then we've got Ollie Hart, Jack Hickman, disaster of a race for him, having that accident with Cam and falling down the field. He only finishes 12th in the end. CJH in 13th. Wet Lemons is the last of the point scorers in 14th, and Jack Pearson is the last of the finishers in 15th, Luca. I don't know what to say.
I don't know what to say either. Catching my breath. That was some fantastic racing. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see that kind of racing again at Monza, but I think we're still going to see some good racing here, as it always produces some good racing.
Yeah, it does indeed. And meanwhile, in the football, Southampton are beating Liverpool.
Unbelievable scenes. Maybe it was your good luck charm of getting stuck in the traffic that's managed to give them that advantage.
Yeah. Well, is Liverpool's quadru hopes completely down the drain? They're 1-0 down to Southampton, And it's only been 15 minutes played, but it's a bit of a disastrous start so far. Nottingham Forest still 0-0 with Sheffield United, and that kicked off at the same time. So, getting ready to go for the second race of the evening round the Autodromo Nazionale Monza in Italy. Home to pizza, pasta, and of course, Luca Ciabatta's.
Yes, I tried to get sponsorship on the race today, but unfortunately I was beaten to it by Aramco. It's a fantastic venue. The Tifosi go absolutely wild for this race, and understandably, the crucible or the Autodromo of speed. And yeah, I hope that we can get some decent racing from it today. I expect we should.
Right, so get ready to go for our second race of the evening here at Monza, round 16 of TGP1 season 37, and it's going to be an interesting one. Monza's a very challenging circuit for the drivers. Well, it's got some fast corners, got some high speed corners, and it's just got some long straights to put up with as well, Luca.
It has, yeah. You've got really high curves going through the chicanes. You've got to make sure you don't lose the back end going through Ascari, and you've got to maximise the speed going through the Parabolica. So this is one that's definitely going to test the drivers. A classic circuit, as I was mentioning in my commentary in Hungary, that does test the drivers, can catch them out and can cause some big high-speed accidents as well. So it's going to be a good one.
It looks fairly overclassed here at Monza for this qualifying session. We'll presume that, well, if it's like every other session, the first man out of the garage will be the soft cop in the Haas. Well, I'm going to scroll to him now, and I reckon he will be. Let's see. Oh, and he is. What a surprise. As he gets out of his garage, ready to go for this qualifying session here at the Monza circuit. So it's key to get a good preparation lap around this circuit, isn't it, Luca?
It is, yeah. You got to make sure that you got your tyres in the right window. Again, it's one of those places you don't want to take too much tyre wear off on the outlap, and then you want to try and conserve the tyres going back into the pits to maximise them for the race.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see a couple of cars starting to peel out the pit lane. Jack Pearson also out on circuit. We've got Ollie Hart, but the first man to be setting a flying lap in this session will be Softy on those medium tyres. This is a normal strategy for Softy. He likes doing his first run on the medium tyres and then do his final runs on the soft. He does the medium run just to, I think, sort of get his eye in. Is the best way of putting it, isn't it, Luca?
It is, yeah. It's a tactic I use whenever I race in TGP as well. You're getting your banker lap in, making sure that you're setting your lap there so that you can push as hard as you can on the softs. Normally put in a bit more fuel as well, and then I've got a benchmark to try and improve on. So let's see how he goes on his first attempt.
Yeah, so he's coming out of the Parabolica now, Lucas. So talk us through a lap round this Autodromo Naziali Monza.
Yeah, of course. So he's absolutely maximised as much speed as he can going through the Parabolica. DRS wide open, hitting well over 200 miles an hour. You're going to brake around the 100-metre board to try and slow down. You've got to get nice and tight in as you can here to get a nice turn into turn 2 and then maximise the exit coming out of that chicane. Coming round here, you're flat out, trying to keep it nice and tight and just let the car ease out to the right-hand side, and then you've got to get nice and hard on the brakes and take as much curb as you can coming over this to then not take as much, but then maximise coming out of there and into the first Lesmo. Keep it nice and tight, try and use a bit of that outside curb, but not too much, and then into the second Lesmo, you're cutting across and not taking too much exit there, open for the DRS. And now you're on your way down, thinking to Ascari where you're going to brake, how much curb you're going to take, how you've got to ease the throttle as you're going around the second curb. So he's not taking too much there, easing the throttle and then flat out exiting to come up to the Parabolica. There's a couple of yellow flags in front, but it looks like they're just slowing down to ease up for their lap. But Softy has to make sure he gets his braking absolutely spot on here and then run it nice and wide out of the exit of Parabolica to maximise the speed to finish the lap. And what are we going to see here in terms of a lap time? A 1:20.9.
Yeah, banker of 1:20.49. It'll definitely be. It should be beaten in the early stages of this session as other drivers go out and set lap times. We've got Ollie Hart in the McLaren coming towards the Parabolica. What's he going to do? He's going to be one of the first guys to set a lap on these soft tyres. So coming out the Parabolica now, and he's come across the line. He's actually the second driver across the line, and it's a 21.5, so he's a bit off Softy, who's on those medium tyres. But pretty much every car is out on the circuit, bar 3 drivers at this current time. Jack Pearson, very slow lap. I think maybe he's going to go again. We're going to see what Wet Levens, the other Haas, does, and he's gone right behind his teammate. He's gone P2 for the time being, Luca.
Yeah, one thing that we should look out for here is to see if any teammates are going to give each other the toe to try and get that extra bit of advantage and an extra bit of lap time to try and get higher up the order. Championship points on offer here, you know, and one of these places where you can give the toe. So be interesting to see if that tactic is used.
Yeah, it'll be interesting as we ride on board with Aiden, just going through the Scari chicane. He's also out on the medium tyres as everyone's getting their banker laps in this qualifying session. Not entirely sure what the weather is meant to do in this session, but I think that's we like kind of the mystery of it, of this session, as we see Sean go quickest at the moment.
We do like the mystery. I have been told by my inside source that the race is going to be dry, so drivers don't have to worry about that and then worry about different setups and which one they're going to choose to maybe get the maximum out of qualifying but maybe suffer a bit for the race. So it's just going to be plain sailing here and hopefully lots of nice close racing as well.
Yeah, it is. A few drivers have gone quicker than Softy's banker early on in this session. We're seeing Jack Hickman going through the Lesmos now.
Let me ride on board with him. So yeah, nice long run here. It looks like he is trying to recover from this weekend that hasn't been the greatest for him. And he's taken lots of curb there. He has had to come off the throttle ever so slightly because he took so much curb, and what can happen is the back end can step out on you a little there. But let's see what lap time he does here. Maybe this is a banker, considering he hasn't set a lap time yet, but Yeah, he's not maximising that exit as much as I'd have expected him to. So, but he has gone quickest here. It's a good banker if it is one.
Yeah, well, I think he's the first driver to set a truly representative time out of the drivers that were going to be going for pole position in this session. Softy about 9 tenths down currently, but he did his lap on the medium tyres. We've got drivers like Court and Matt Tibos also out on laps as it stands in this session, as I look for a driver to ride on board with, and it's not one of those. It's, where is it? There he is, Court, as he just heads towards the Parabolica now.
Yeah, so he's on the mediums as well. Looks like he's trying to get as much lap time out of that as well. Maybe he's trying to go for an alternate strategy here. But 1:21.7, that's not going to get him into the top 10.
Yeah, as you see drivers coming out for their second runs now, mainly Softy and Cam. They're going to be the first drivers out for second runs, although Cam hasn't actually set a lap time yet in this session. No, he hasn't. So yeah, there's a few drivers out. Matt Tibos has had to go again. I was riding on board with him briefly when he went for his first attempt, and he actually managed to bounce and do a wheelie over the curb at the second chicane, so that's not ideal for him. Luckily, I think he's fueled up for 2 laps, and he's gone again as he goes towards the Ascari chicane.
Yeah, those chicane curbs are lethal.
No!
Oh, and he's in the wall! How he managed to not retire from that accident, I don't know. Luckily, he's just lost his front wing. Hopefully, he doesn't have any rear wing damage, which you can get on F1 2021, so he'll be going back to the pits limping and maybe knocked his confidence a little.
Yeah, as we see Cam, who's just started a flying lap in this session. It's going to be his first one of the session, but Matt Tibos, they make those Mercedes strong, that German reliability, strong as one of their tanks in World War II, as they go down, and we ride on board with Cam as he heads down the back straight now, Luca.
Yeah, so coming up to Ascari, hopefully he doesn't lose the back end like Tibos did going through Ascari, and he can set a decent lap time here. But looks like, oh, he's gone a bit wide there. Hopefully he hasn't invalidated, but it looks like the game can allow you to do that. And let's see how he goes through Parabolica and if he can maximise the speed and what kind of representative lap time he can set.
Yeah, so coming out the Parabolica, first lap time in this session for Cam. He's going to come across the line and he puts himself up into P2, and that's a very strong lap from him, as we now see Softy on the second run. First lap on these soft tyres. He's currently 4.5 tenths up on his previous best, which isn't actually enough to get him towards that pole position, but most of the time it's made through Ascari and Parabolica on this lap.
Yeah, so there is a relatively large delta between the mediums and the softs from what I can remember. So if he can just match that delta, he'll definitely be taking a pole position time as it currently stands. But let's see what he can do here. Drivers seem to be taking a bit more of a tighter line going through Parabolica, not necessarily maximising it, but there you go, 1:19.8. It's that is a quick time.
That's a very quick time indeed. As you see, Glock, one of the guys we were expecting to be challenging for pole position in this session, is currently going 7 tenths quicker than his previous lap as he goes through the Ascari chicane, heads towards Parabolica now. He's going to be going up the gears. He's up into top gear, 8th gear in these cars, and he's just got one more corner to go, the Parabolica.
Yeah, so the lap isn't over yet. He's still got to have maximum concentration to get the best that he can out of the car through here, as it's all about retaining the speed. And up into 4th place, 1:20.3. Not a bad lap time, but I'm sure that he'll be wanting to get more lap time to qualify on pole position if he can.
Yeah, meanwhile we've got guys further down the field. Dan the Man got a solid P3 in the last race. Can he improve and get a better result here in Monza? It's going to be difficult for him to do, as we see a couple of retirements in this session of Ollie Hart and Aiden Griffin. But we see Dan the Man flinging himself out the Parabolica. What's his time going to be? Where's it going to put him? It's only 7th for Dan the Man.
Only 7th. He may have made some mistakes along the way as he was doing that lap. We didn't pick it up, unfortunately, but I'm sure he's going to want to improve on that.
Yeah, as we're trying to see if anyone else is on a flying lap. Jean in the other Mercedes, the one that hasn't stacked it in the wall this qualifying session so far, coming towards the end of the first sector, and he's actually slightly down on his previous lap time.
Yeah, I've just picked up Jack Hickey, who looks to be on a flyer here, coming into Ascari Let's see if he's improving on his current lap time. No, he seems to be 7/10 down on his current Sector 2 time, so not sure what's happened there.
Yeah, we'll go look at Jean again then. Currently in P6. Can he improve? He's going to use the toe of the slow car there, and he's gained about a tenth on his previous best as he runs through the Ascari chicane now and flings himself onto the back straight.
Yep, so coming up to Parabolica again, it's interesting to see the differences the drivers take here. Some are staying really tight on the exit to try and minimise that distance to the finish line. Some are maximising it by going out wide to try and get that top speed. All different philosophies here, but Jean doesn't seem to have improved.
Yeah, Jean hasn't improved as we see an equaliser for Minamino, unfortunately. So Liverpool haven't quite bottled the league yet as they go 1-1 against Southampton. And we've got about 6.5 minutes left of this qualifying session. Softy setting the pace from Jack Hickman. Then we've got Cam as we see Same that Tibos has just put himself into second place in this session, and he's currently what's that, about 3 tenths off Softy in this session. So it looks like once again Softy clear pace advantage over the rest of the field.
Yeah, Tibos throwing his hat in the ring, looking for that pole position. 3 tenths could be achievable here, but what else has Softy got up his sleeve to compete with here? One thing to notice here is that we've got 5 drivers out of the session already, whether that's retirements or whether they have binned it into a wall. I don't quite know, but down the man, one man I didn't expect to be out of qualifying here.
Yeah, wasn't a man to have. They say he's going to be starting no higher than P9, and he could drop even further. He's only got Wet Lemons a couple of tenths behind, and then he's got caught not far behind that either, so he could find himself outside the top 10 here, Dan the man.
Yeah, which would be such a shame. But then again, if I was knowing that I wasn't going to be above P9, I'd be hoping to be out of that top 10, just so I could get that extra set of soft tyres nice and fresh for the race. I don't think medium tyres around here is necessarily a good tyre to start on, just because that first corner is a heaven for accidents and lost front wings and all sorts. So you want to be starting on that soft tyre, and if there's a safety car, you can go back onto the mediums. You say it's not a great strategy call. I don't think it's that bad at all, because tyre wear's not really an issue around this Monza circuit. So maybe start on the mediums and pit early and go for softs to the end. That's not a bad strategy. People have done it in the past. I'm not saying I've done it in the past. I have done it in the past myself in TGP leagues, but that is the point. There's so little tyre wear around this circuit that you can do alternate strategies like that. I suppose if you can make it work, then it's definitely one that will help you towards the latter end of the race when medium tyres not as quick. So if you can make it work, fantastic, but from personal experience I can never make it work, unfortunately.
Yeah, Softy's not going any quicker on this lap so far. He's about a tenth down on what he's previously done, which is still probably his second time, which is probably still putting P1 on the grid as it stands, but I don't think he's going to improve on this lap. He's got about 3.5 minutes, and this is probably his final run of the session as he goes round the Parabolica now.
Yeah, I've just picked up on Glock here. He's going to be wanting to get higher up the order, considering his pole positions from last year. So, coming around the Parabolica now, staying nice and tight, trying to minimise the distance to the finish line, and he goes P2.
Yes, it's a very tight battle for that P2 at the moment. Less than a tenth covering Glock, Tibos and Jack Hickman. As we see, Jack Hickman's on an outlap. Alistair, I think, is on a flyer. No, he's on an out. He's going for a second warm-up. So, realistically, Softy's going to go for another run because he dived into the pit lane. So he's got time to do that now. Jack Hickman's on an outlap. Tibos was still waiting to go out again, but I think that's Glock done for the session. So let's see if Hickman or Tibos can go and improve on their time. They don't need much to get onto that front row.
Not at all. A bit more traction out of some of the corners can give you that extra tenth if you're not absolutely maximising them. So it'll all be about finding those incremental little improvements to see where they can really maximise and get that extra tenth just to pip to get to P2.
Yeah, so we'll see what's happening now. See, Tibos is out on an outlap. Jack Hickman just coming up to the Parabolica to start his final run in this session. I'd say they're the main challengers, that group of top four. Cam's already out the session, and I don't see Alistair making up, what, 8-9 attempts to get up near Softy.
No, a very tall order to gain almost a second in a lap when you've got such great runners at the front there, but I think the battle here that we really want to keep an eye on is for that P2 spot.
Yeah, it is indeed. So Jack Hickman just coming out the first chicane now. What's his first sector time going to be as he gets round the Curva Grande for the final time in this session, most likely, and see what he does. His first sector is about 2 tenths down. That's not a good sign, is it?
It's not a good sign, no. Maybe he's got some more on the table where he can pick up in sector 2 and 3, but this is going to be a tall order.
Yeah, it's going to be a tall order for Jack Hickman now. See if he can improve his grid position. Glock is out of the session as expected, to be honest. I didn't think he was going to have time to do another run. So that's Glock finished. What's Jack Hickman going to do in sector 2? He goes round and he's gained some of that time back. He's still within a chance. He only needs about a tenth to put himself on the front row of the grid.
Yeah, for sure. I've just picked up Alistair here. He's going to cross the line before Jack Hickman is. He's only less than a tenth down, and he's dived into the pits. So let's go back with Jack Hickman coming round the Parabolica. Let's see if he's managed to gain any time here to improve to get that P2 spot off Glock.
He's done. It's done. Meanwhile, Matt Tibos has gained 17 thousandths in the first sector. That is not quite enough to get him onto the front row of the grid, but that's a decent place to start.
It is. Let's see how he can maximise round these corners and see what his sector 2 time is, because this will be telling going into the final sector to see if he can get that all-important second place on the grid.
So, Matt Tibos coming towards the sector 2 line. It's 37 thousandths. I think that'd be enough to put him onto second in the grid as it stands. But he's just got the Parabolica to go. He looked like he had a very tiny Ascari. It's the Mercedes man. Going to put himself onto the front row of the grid in this qualifying session. Round the Parabolica he goes. He gets a good run. Doesn't want to get too much sliding on the exit. He doesn't. He goes up the gears. He's waiting to cross the line. And what's his lap time going to be? It's a 19.9. He puts himself P2. And Softy on his victory lap. Got pole position in the bag already. And improves by another 3 tenths. Like, Softy, give everyone else a chance, man.
I know, what a lap it was from Tibos to get into the 119s there. But Softy just flexing that extra speed that he seemed to have in his pocket to get that 119.5, 4 tenths clear of the rest of the field. Unbelievable scenes.
No, I don't think you should say the word flexing around Softy. He gets a bit of PTSD around because of the previous champion Flexi in TGP1. Is not a man he say likes is probably the best way of putting it. But yeah, Softy, there's no other way. Bulging his muscles is the way you should put it around Softy. Get very annoyed if you say flexing. But he has got qualifying done. He's got pole position, and Matt Tibos is going to be joining him on the front row, Luca.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like that image of Softy bulging his muscles, but I understand what you mean. A great finishing position there for Jovial Manatee in 5th place. Only 6 tenths off the pace, and could have picked Jack Hickey if he had that extra tenth there, but great to see him up there as well. Yes,
great to see him up there indeed. So here is the final standings in this qualifying session. Soft Cop once again getting pole position by 3.5 tenths over Matt Tibos. Glock and Jack Hickman are the second row of the grid. Then we've got Jovial Manatee, Cam, Sean, Alistair Bain, CJH and Court rounding out the top 10. Then we've got Dan the Man in 11th, Wet Lemons in 12th, Ollie Hart 13th, Jack Pearson 14th, Aiden in 15th, and the RT Jordan is going to be rounding out the grid, Luca.
Yeah, so an interesting grid with some people out of position there due to either early mistakes or binning it on their laps or having to retire. So it'll be interesting to see what Dan the Man can do down in that lower position on the grid, and it'll be interesting to see what strategy these drivers will decide to go for, if they'll go for your strategy or they'll go for mine.
Well, I think, well, the top 10 will go for the soft tyres at the beginning. Let's see if anyone further down the field tries something interesting. That was Softy's 10th pole position of the season, and it puts him onto an overall 72 poles in TGP1. But we're getting ready to go with about 10 seconds to go. Any late predictions for this race, Luca?
I can see Dan the man, if he can keep his nose clean, he'll be up into the top 5.
Right, so we get ready to go here for round 16 of TGP1 at the Autodrome and Nazionale Monza. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights are on here at Monza, and it's lights out, and away we go. And once again, Softy has got a brilliant start from the front, and the second place man has struggled to get off the line. As we see, he's three wide behind Matt Tibos. Here's Matt Tibos going to go for a move. Not quite. It's all getting very argy-bargy behind. Matt Tibos has got to retain second. Softy to the lead. Glock is third. Jack Hickman fourth. And it's actually as they were. But meanwhile, side by side between the Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari, heading towards the second chicane.
Yeah, for sure. So as I predicted, Dan the man has managed to make up a place into P10 at the start of this, and he's going for a move. Oh, that was a close one. He nearly lost his front wing. Getting a bit impatient there, maybe, but seems to be that drivers have kept it relatively clean out of that first corner.
Yeah, they have indeed. Meanwhile, we see on board with Matt Tibos, who's had a decent start actually, and he's not too far behind. Softy is not getting away as he would like. It's going to be so key, the slipstream in this race, and there might be a slipstream train forming. Softy will be desperate to try and get out that DRS before lap number 3 when it becomes into effect. I could see Dan the man dicing his way up the field. He's already back up to P9, so he's recovering some of the positions that he lost at the start of this race.
He is, yeah. There's a nice little fight already here on lap 1 between CJH, Dan the man, and Alistair Bain. Seems to have calmed down a bit now, coming out of Sector 2 and into Sector 3, and we've got a very early pit stop there from Court.
Yeah, Court pitting early. Jack Hickman. Cam going to be 3 wide going into the chicane. Jack Hickman thinks better of it. Cam down the inside. There's a wheel banging between Glock and Cam. And Jack Hickman may be the main beneficiary. Yes, he is. And he's back up into P3. Glock down to P4 and Cam in P5. But they're going to be slipstreaming their way round towards the second chicane. Glock looking to the outside in towards that chicane. Meanwhile, up the front as they were. It's a wheelie from Jack Hickman. He's not on a MotoGP bike, but he's still done a wheelie anyway. And Glock has got past Jack Hickman down to 4th. And where's Cam going?
Yeah, it looks like Cam has just gone quite wide, unfortunately, through the first Lesmo and into that horrible gravel trap that can just absolutely ruin your race. And he's down into 14th position now, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's had a bit of a stinker there, Cam. New Zealand Cam. He's almost from the land down under, and he's ended up down in the gravel trap and down in 14th place. Meanwhile, we're on lap number 2, coming towards the end of it. Lap number 3, and my intervals have disappeared, but I can see there's still a great scrap for 3rd place.
Yeah, great scrap for 3rd place here with Jack Hickey right on the back. Just going to, whilst we've got our intervals back, but Dan the man there up in 7th place, 4 positions gained from the start. I think the top 5 is on here. I think my prediction's on.
Meanwhile, Sean down the inside of Jovial Mansi gets himself up into P5, and Jovial Mansi in the AlphaTauri is down to P6. Glock is actually starting to put a little bit of a gap on Jack Hickman as the DRS is going to come into effect. And Matt Tibos is still with the race leader, Softy, as Cam is out the race, but he's retired in the pit lane, so no safety cars or VSCs for the drivers to worry about, thankfully.
Thankfully, and Matt Tibos has stuck with Softy, as you said. Softy not having that dominant performance that he carried over from Saudi, unfortunately, for him. But this is great to see that we could see a fight for the 1st place on the podium. Yeah, as we see Sean looking to the outside towards the Ascari chicane. He's going to have to get the move done the hard way. If he gets it done, and he has, he's up into P number 4. Jack Hickman down to P5, and it's getting from bad to worse if he wants to retain any hopes of going for the title. Meanwhile, Dan the man all over the back of Jovial Mansi. He's looking to the outside towards the Parabolica, Luca. Yeah, so Dan the man up to P6. That was brewing way back before Ascari. So Dan the man making some good progress here and we should be approaching the pit window relatively soon, if I remember rightly.
Yes, we should be indeed. We're on lap number 4 of this race at Monza. It's been a thriller so far. Jack Hickman looking to the inside of Jean, not quite there, and Dan the man is making up for his poor qualifying. He's given a little love tap to the back of Jack Hickman's gearbox, and he's it's a little bit of a love tap. I think that's the best way of putting it.
Yeah, Dan the man going up the inside here of Jack Hickman. They're going to be going too wide into the chicane, but Jack Hickman thinks better of it. And Dan the man up to P5 with Johners well and truly in his sights.
Yeah, and there's another man off his hit list as he gets himself further up the field. It's P5 for Dan the man in the Alpine, and John is his next target. He's like a trained assassin on this field today, Luca.
He is, yes. He's recovering from that P9 position that he started in, and further down even, P11 position that he started in, and really maximising these soft tyres before the pit stops.
Yeah, so what's the next move going to be? Definitely a train forming behind Jack Hickman. It's 3 cars in the train. Choo-choo as they go towards the Parabolica. CJH has taken the move on Jovial Manti. CJH up into P7. And he's run a little bit wide on the exit. Is Jack Hickman coming into the pits? Yes, he is. Jack Hickman's in. He's going to go for the early stop. It's going to be DRS side by side with CJH. And Dan the man has got himself up into 4th place. No, yes, he has. So that's a great move there. And CJH has got past Jovial Manzi as well.
Yeah, great moves all around. Dan the man 1.4 seconds behind Glock. Can he make that gain? Can he maybe get an undercut on Glock in order to try and jump him in the pit stops? Let's see, as the undercut is quite powerful, if I remember rightly, around Monza.
It is indeed. That's maybe why Jack Hickman has gone for that early stop. But he needs to try and gain some of that time back as he goes towards. He's got a nice bit of clean air though, as I can see him just going through the first chicane now. Is Sean maybe going to try a comeback on Dan the man? And it's over a second now at the front of the field between Softy and Matt Tibos.
Yeah, John is closing in onto Ascari. No move on there at the moment, but I reckon that drivers will be looking to do their pit stops here, and a lot of the overtaking will be done under the strategy.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad shout at all. Is there going to be any takers this lap for the pit lane? As we're on lap number 5, coming up close towards.
Tibos is in.
Okay, Tibos is in, so he's gone for the undercut on Softy. Anyone else into the pit lane? Yes, Glock is in as well. So Dan the man promotes himself up to 2nd. There's a few drivers coming into the pits, but main ones are Tibos and Glock that we need to contend about for podiums and wins.
Yeah, so a nice stop for Tibos there. Let's see how much time he can gain on Softy by taking that undercut.
Well, Tibos is out of the pit lane and he's miles ahead of Jack Hickman. Jack Hickman he's a long way back. Glock is well ahead of him as well. So it's a bit of disaster. And speaking of disasters, Matt Tibos has spun coming out the pit lane. That is a disaster for him. Glock has got the position and he's lucky that no drivers are closer. But guys like Dan and John are going to be licking their lips that they have thought of that.
Yeah, for sure. Dan the man, 9 places gained in this race. He's managed to keep it clean. He's made good moves, and he just needs a good pit strategy now, and not to spin it when he comes out of the pit lane. And hopefully he could be on for a podium here.
Yeah, so that is a disaster for Matt Tibos. He's trying to go for the undercut on Softy, try and go for the race win. He spun it coming out of the first chicane, and Softy is surely going to come out well out in front of him now as he makes his pit stop now. Are these two, Dan the man and John? No, they're going to stay out. So Dan the man is going to go to the point of this race.
Maybe hoping for a late safety car here to gain those extra positions. If he gets a safety car now when Softy's in the pit, that'll be disastrous for Softy's lead in this race. But yeah, one thing the drivers need to be so careful of, as we saw with Matt Tibos, is those medium tyres, having the warm-up issues and just losing the back end coming out of that really slow first chicane.
Yeah, it's a bit of a disaster for Matt Tibos. He's going to be trying to gain that time back and maybe get himself back onto P2. He's currently in net P3, but the likes of Dan, who's had a massive wobble coming out the second chicane, and Sean is once again all over the back of him going through the Lesmos.
Yeah, Dan the man, great to hold on to it, but it looks like Jonas has got that extra pace now and the DRS. Dan moving to the inside to just cover off to make sure no move into Ascari. But I could see Dan the man making his pit stop this lap after that big wobble to make sure he doesn't lose too much time.
Yeah, I think Dan the man surely has to come in. Maybe he was pushing to try and bring out that advantage and maybe drop Glock as well as Tibos and get himself into a net P2 on strategy. But he's made it a bit more difficult and he's probably be heading to the box this time. Jack Pearson, in the water is wet moment of the race, has got himself a time penalty. What a surprise there. And Dan hasn't pitted there.
And neither has Jonas. An interesting call. Surely this late safety car is just running out of time now for the quota of the game. So I don't understand what they're trying to gain here. Maybe they feel that there's still lots of pace in the soft tyres and they're trying to do a mega overcut on the rest of the field.
Well,
as we have a yellow flag in Sector 3 with Wet Lemons spinning.
Yeah, Wet Lemons, it's only a spin coming out the exit of Ascari there. But the main battle to focus on the circuit at the moment is the fact that Sean is all over the back of Dan still. Dan has got past him, but Sean hasn't really left him.
No, and maybe he just doesn't have the setup right, and the DRS isn't giving him enough of a toe to get nice and close to Dan, or maybe they're just using their deployment differently. It's a tough one, but Dan the man can't be making too many more mistakes now, otherwise Jonas will pounce on him.
Yeah, that is the key. John is getting, well, it's now starting, the gap is finally starting to go out a bit as Softy is making his way through the field. And we're seeing guys like Jovial Manti. None of the top 5 are pitted yet in this race, nor is the guys like Aiden and ERT Jordan yet either.
No, they haven't. Jovial Manti, and we've got CJH in, so maybe that's the trigger for the top 5 to pit.
Yeah, maybe it is indeed. We've got to look further down the field now as Aiden is getting close to the back of Jack Hickman. Aiden on the soft tyres, actually. That's something to note in this race. He's still on the soft tyres as Softy sets the fastest lap of the race. But Aiden, I don't think he's made a box stop yet.
He has made a stop. He has made a stop.
So he did my alternative strategy and started on the mediums, and look where it's getting him. He's all over the back of Jack Hickman, and is he going to make a move going into the first corner? Yes, he is. Aiden, with the alternative strategy, gets the move done. Yes, just about. Yes, he does. He's got the move done on the traction, on the exit, and he puts himself up into P9 in this race.
Yeah, respectful driving between the two drivers there, going through the first chicane. That can get messy, as we did see in 2021 with Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. So good to see the respect between the drivers there, and it didn't look like Jack Hickey put too much of a fight up for him. Oh, and Jack Hickey's out!
Oh, Jack Hickey is out of the race. Is that going to be the safety car that the lead guys wanted? Yes, it is.
Unbelievable. Dan the man must be rubbing his hands together in absolute disbelief that this safety car has come out at this period of the race.
Well, that is probably what they're waiting for. So those lead guys are going to be coming in. Softy is just entering the Parabolica now. So it'll be interesting to see where they come out. I don't think they're going to come out in front of Softy, unfortunately.
No, I think Softy has made up that time quite nicely as he is going past the start-finish line now. But Dan the man has put himself in a fantastic position to gain places here, taking advantage of that safety car. Where will he come out? He'll come out in P2.
No, it's going to just be P3. It's P3 because the line to decide it is there right at the end of the pit lane. But he's still made a gain. And the big loser, Matt Tibos, but that's not really a surprise after the spin coming out of the chicane on his outlap.
No, it hasn't, unfortunately, but Dan the man and John is in fantastic place here with brand new medium tyres compared to the front runners, Glock on 3-lap-old tyres and Softy on 2-lap-old tyres. Hopefully they'll get a good advantage out of this to really fight for the podium.
Yeah. That would be interesting indeed. We're probably going to have maybe 2 laps of racing after this safety car period has finished. So it's going to be a 2-lap shootout. Can Dan the man from P11 on the grid get himself a win?
It'd be something we would love to see competing for that win, especially as he did start down in P11 and he has made up 8 places in this race now. after all of the pit stops. It's been a fantastic drive from Dan the Man for sure.
It has been a superb drive from Dan the Man. He's used it. He's used his driving nous, his years of experience in TGP1 to get himself up the field, and he's put himself in a prime position to go on and potentially win this race. He's going to probably get a podium, but can he go those 2 steps further and get his first win in a little while?
It's something that, you know, we'd love to see, a fantastic kind of comeback here after that low position on the grid. But will he be able to get the best of VFR Glock? He may do, but it all depends on this safety car restart and how much Softy can make a gap. I don't think we're going to see any DRS, unfortunately, due to us now being on lap 11.
Yeah, so there'll be no DRS on this restart. Is it? I thought it was. Is it 2 laps after a safety car gets enabled to get?
Or
is
it?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, it's 2.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe it was 1, but it's 2. Okay, so yeah, that means no DRS. So they're going to have to do it the old-fashioned ways, these overtakes, which is quite nice to see for a change, rather than just people floating by with DRS.
It is. DRS has obviously become such an integral part of racing in Formula One, but every so often we do see some amazing moves without it, and let's hope to see some of them today.
Well, that was the thing in Imola. Everyone was moaning that they waited so long to bring out the enable DRS in that race. But it was quite nice to see guys like George Russell using a bit more racecraft and driving experience, using the head a bit more to make overtakes, as he made some superb moves in that race, George Russell.
He did, yes, and it looks like we've got wet lemons now getting to the back of the pack, and I'd be very surprised if the safety car won't be in this lap.
Yeah, so it looks like we'll probably have a 2-lap shootout here at the Autodrome in Nazione Monza. It's going to be a grandstand finish, probably for the ages. Softy and Glock have got older tyres than the guy behind in Dan the Man, and Jean as well. The safety car is going to be coming on this lap, and Softy will be trying his absolute best to nail this restart and not give too much of a tow down the main straight.
Yeah, 2 very quick drivers in Softy and VFR Glock, so it'll be interesting to see who's going to use their nous the best coming out of here, and when Softy will bolt, I think he'll want to bolt as late as he can to make sure that the safety car is in and that he does get that jump on the rest of the field.
Yeah, well, I don't see him going before Parabolica. There's no chance of that, because he'd just be giving everyone the tow down the main straight. He's going to be doing that anyway, but he's going to have to wait and wait. He's gone now! That is surprising, actually. And he's definitely caught Glock sleeping, as Dan the Man is all over the back of him on this restart. He's going to be looking for a move. Sean is looking for a move as well, as they head down the straight. Glock looking to hold on to position. Sean down the inside of... No, he's not quite there. He's not quite there. Dan the Man looking to the outside. Someone's run very wide there, and he's going to be dropping down the field there. It was Matt Tibos. He's got a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. That's not a huge surprise. And is Dan struggling to heat up these medium tyres? Because he's getting swamped at the moment.
It looks like he was trying to go around the outside into turn 1, and he just got driven out of road, unfortunately, and that compromised his exit out of turn 2. So John is on the back of him, but he seems to be gaining that time back on VFR Glock, whereas Softy is now a second ahead of Glock. So I think Softy, as long as he can keep it nice and clean on the road, he should have this one in the bag.
Yeah, meanwhile, we're going to go up further at the field. CJH not too far behind John, and there's a battle behind. Matt Tibos looking for a move, maybe on Jovial Manatee as well. No, he's not going to quite be close enough going into Ascari. But the main battle, which is surprising on this restart, is actually, well, I say it's surprising, CJH all over the back of Sean, as Dan the Man has finally got some temperature in these tyres, and he's now on the back of Glock going around the Parabolica. It's going to be the final lap of this race around Monza. Softy in the lead. He looks like he's got the win in the bag. He's put the fastest lap in of the race as well, but is Dan the Man going to do his move the old-fashioned way and get up into P2, which would be a stonking drive from P11 on the grid?
Dan the Man being nice and patient there. He ran out of deployment coming out of the back of that lap just gone, so he didn't have the greatest run going into turn 1, but there's still potential for move into Ascari and even into Parabolica.
Yeah, there is the potential for that indeed. It'd be interesting to see what happens in this battle for P2. Glock and Dan once again battling for the lower places on the podium. This time Dan has no penalty to contend with, to deal with, to try and stop his podium charge. And like we've already said, a storming drive. Softy, once again, from the front of the field, is leading by example. But we're going to focus on this battle for P2. Is Dan the man going to be close enough into the Ascari? I don't think he is. So I think that is that. That is going to be your order in this race. Softy coming through Ascari, and he's picked up a 3-second time penalty as well. And he's pinned it! He's pinned it! Oh, he was having such a storming drive. He'd come from 11th on the grid. He's done that. It's a disaster for Dan the man. But Softy coming round the final corner takes the win in Italy. Glock is going to come over in second, and Jean is going to pick up.
A great little move there from Aiden, coming round, doing the switchback around Parabolica to get that P4 position. And wow, did not expect that on the final lap from Dan the man. What an absolute shame, because he'd have got my driver of the day if he'd managed to keep that. But one person who has been under the radar here for this whole race and hasn't got the talk and has actually got the driver of the day from the game is Aiden Griffin. 11 positions gained in this race. Unbelievable.
I don't know what to say. Dan the man, storming drive up the field, battling for P2 from P11 on the grid. And he gets a 3-second time penalty going to Ascari, and then bins it on the exit of Ascari and undoes all his hard work from this race. It's more of a bottle than Arsenal's Champions League hopes, as Softy sprays the champagne on the podium, and just wow.
Softy then again showing that bulletproof consistency. He got the fastest lap of the race on the last lap by the looks of things as well, and Aiden Griffin's definitely takes my driver of the day. 11 positions. Fantastic work. Fantastic
work indeed, as Soft Cop takes the victory once again here in this race. That is his 8th win of the season in TGP1. Glock in second, and Jean picks up the final podium spot. Then we've got Aiden, CJH, Jovial Mancy, Ollie Hart, Wet Lemons, Matt Tibos and ERT Jordan in 10th. Alistair Bain, Jack Pearson picking up some points, Court Gill, and Dan the man does get classified in 14th and picks up the final point. But what pair of races there?
Yeah, we saw the absolute craziness of Saudi with just constant battling up and down the field. And we saw some classic racing and some fantastic moves in Monza with what we thought was going to be a bit of a hero story with Dan the man working his way up the grid. But then almost this silent kind of working his way up the grid in Aiden Griffin's instead. So fantastic night of racing, and it's been an absolute pleasure to commentate on it.
Yeah, it has indeed. So going into Singapore next week at round 17 and 18, there is a very high possibility that Softy could wrap up the championship. But what are your takeaways from tonight?
Yeah, so Softy showing, as I said before, bulletproof consistency in order to gain maximum points out of both races. He had the dominance in Saudi Arabia. He had the pace to hold off Matt Tibos in the early stages in Monza as well. And I just can't see anybody getting anywhere near him when it comes to this championship now.
Yeah. Well, that has been that for your two races in TGP1 Season 37. Rounds 15 and 16 from Saudi Arabia and Italy. We will join you next time out in Singapore and Japan for the penultimate week of the season. But thank you for watching, and we will see you on PS4.